Okay, this is the second part of the lesson now, and what I want to do first is show you how to fix that scroll bar problem I've been telling you about. It's not that complicated, but let me first of all review how to add a scroll bar to a text box. So put a little text box here, and we'll make sure it says multi-line and the borders on it. All right, and then the components are in the window, components, and we'll drag the scroll bar just inside of there like that, and it attaches itself. Okay, that's basically it. That's all it takes to add a scroll bar to a text box. Now the problem's been in the last 2 days that how do you put stuff in there and have the new style scroll bar actually activate and show up? Well, that's what I want to show you now, and it's not that hard. We'll go to our demos. Okay, so we're in this folder now using components, and the program I'm looking at is called Cs3 Scroll Bar Fix, and I got a really simple example here. Just a little text box which I've called component underline text. I don't use the variable name. That's the most important thing. You're going to use the instance name, and then there's a scroll bar attached to it. You can see it faintly on the right hand side. Here's the big change. Right in there, you're going to add this line. Nothing special about the word load text, but then you have to say new load variables. That's a special command. Again, it's like that class stuff. We're going to use it and make an instance of this load variables class. Then you say load text dot onload, a special method, equals function. Kind of a weird way to do functions in ActionScript, but this is what they do. Then on this side you say this, and then you give the exact name of your instance variable, and that's going to go into the same name dot text. That's the property for it. Now this part in here has to match your actual text file. So let me show you that for a second. Okay, so these are the text files, right? And the one that we're going to use in a second, I'll drop this down. All right, we're going to load in another spring.text. So I want to show you what's actually in there. See that line right there? Okay, so I think last time we used content. It just, you can call it whatever you want. Just make sure it matches. So you called your instance name component underline text, so this has to match. All right. So then basically, this is just some sound stuff I threw in, but this is how you're going to load this particular text file into this text box. And let me just play it for a sec. When you press it, plays a little music, and there it is scrolling, and now we have the complete solution. We can dynamically load text into a text box and have the scroll bar show up, and it's kind of a different looking scroll bar, kind of neat, and that's how you do it. Okay, so to review, what you're going to do now is, just make your basic text box, drag in a horizontal scroll bar, vertical scroll bar, then actually you do this next. Right, add that. That's standard. That's standard. This part will have to match whatever you used as your name, and same with that. Okay, so that's the fix for the scroll bar. And just to show you that question we did just before this lesson, what I did is I remodified it, and I called it Cs3 External Assets, and I'll very quickly show you it. So here's the exact one we just did a few minutes ago, but now I added this new technique. Okay, so there it is right there, and look at, I used content this time. So this guy right here is called content, and in my data I would also have content equals to match that. So now when I do stuff like the following, So I used to do this. Okay, now I'm going to do that. That's the big change. Okay, on to the last part of the lesson. All right, actually I'm going to get totally out of Flash for a second, and I'll give you a rough idea where we're going with this. So on your sharing folder, it would be, I've got right now my temp drive, we're in here. Okay, using components demo. And our last example today, and this is what you're basically going to do for your assignment, is this type of thing. Is a combo box, and it's called using components CS3. All right, and I'll just run it for a sec. So we're going to use a combo box instead of having that big list of things. Combo box, a little bit shorter, a little bit cleaner, has all basically the same stuff. Press that, and you get a picture there. You get a fish there. This opening a little bit farther over, but it looks good. Okay, there's some words down here. Let's pick one that has a lot of words. So there's there with a scroll bar. Okay, so that's what I want to show you to finish up today. Okay, so let's take a look at this solution. First of all, hey, look, 2 movie clip buttons. Okay, I found out that especially that first one, SJV opening, it was so big that by putting it here, it was going off screen. So I made another movie clip, which I called clip. This one's called new clip, and I use both of them. All right, and most of the stuff I think I put in clip. A couple of things I put in new clip, just because they look better in certain ways. You don't have to do that. You can stick with one, but you'll play it by ear and decide which one you want to use. How do you make one of these guys? All right, that's the new thing. How do you do this combo box? So let me show you that for a second. And it's in components. All right, and we'll just grab one, throw it on the screen, then we'll erase it after. Where is it? Right there. Okay, so we'll drag it on the screen. All right, now you always got to give your combo box a name. This one, you'll notice I called CB. You'll see where that comes in a few minutes. So this one right here, I'll just call it, actually it's good, we'll call it test. All right, and so how do you fill it up? I don't know if you remember C#. C#, you had this thing where you could put it in right in the properties. Same kind of thing here. Down along the bottom, there's one called parameters, right? And then there's labels. And then you just double click on that, and this thing pops up. Press plus, and then you click on that and rub that out. So this would be like choice 1. Rub that out. Choice 2. We'll do one more. Choice 3. Okay, now those words, you're going to use them somewhere else, so make sure you remember them, or write them down or whatever. Okay, so if I was to play this right now, there would be my 3 choices. Okay, so it's pretty easy to fill up the combo box. All right, the hard part is when you have to go and pick one of these and have stuff show up here. How do you tell the computer? Like, it'd be nice if this was C#, you would right click on this and or double click on this and it would go into some screen, but you don't do that in ActionScript. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is mostly all in that little thing up there in that ActionScript, and this is going to get ugly. All right, and I'll show you. All right, so the first part's not too bad. That's the stuff I just showed you a few minutes ago. That was the scroll bar fix. Okay, you do this new thing called load text, new variables, and then you say load text on load, and you create a function, and info goes into info. Okay, and if you're not sure what that is, let's slide down a bit. That right there is the info. Okay, so this thing right here is called info, and remember, we're not using the variable anymore, we're using the instance variable, okay, or the instance name. Okay, next, actually let's get rid of this. All right, let's go on to the combo box stuff. And this loads in actually the new spring, so when it starts off, actually you notice that the first one was already in there. Okay, now the weird stuff. Okay, you got to type this in exactly as it is. Function change, that's a special event. It's a change event, almost like C#, and then EVT stands for event. Can't change that, just do it exactly like you see it. I don't know if you remember in C#, there's if statements, and there was another one we sort of did, but like for 2 seconds, called the switch command. It's like an if statement. And again, don't touch this. Type this in exactly like you see it. Don't touch it. But basically it's saying is when you change the combo box choice, when you let go of it, what's the label of the one you're on? Okay? And you got to type it in exactly like you spelled it. So these are all the different if statements, so to speak. Case SJB opening, and you have to put the colon. And basically I'm telling the computer these 2 lines. When you pick the opening, play this movie on the root clip. Okay? Now, root clip, that's this guy right here. Alright? And I wanted this one a little bit farther over because it was so wide, that SJB opening. All the other ones are on uclip. Alright, and you can just copy and paste this idea if you want. And then you have to use load text. That's that stuff we just told you about. Okay, load test load. And you can use 0. Sometimes you can just type it in without having to put anything. Either one will work. So look how I did it here. And look how you did it here. Okay, now you also got to put in this break command. So it's a little bit like C# too. Remember when you had those loops and you can break out of them? Same thing here. Because the way a case works, once you do one, you better get the heck out of there because it's over. If you don't put that break in, it falls into this one and tries to do this one. Or it falls into this one. Okay? So what you do is you put down all your possible things that you've got in your combo box. You don't have to do this is way too much. You're only going to do 3 choices, so it's going to be easy. Now, the default is not really necessary, but that would be the one that would do automatically if you didn't pick any other ones. I don't really expect you to do this. You just type in the 3 you're going to do. Some more stuff that looks like C#. When you do this, you have to return and tell the computer, hey, everything was successful. So after it does one of these, you have to say return true. And now the last part. And again, weird stuff. CB. What's CB? CB is the name. Slide down a bit. CB is the name of the combo box. All right, CB right there. Hey, look at all that stuff there. We did that a few minutes ago, right? So CB is the name of the combo box. All right, and you're going to tell the computer, hey, listen for my buddy the combo box. All right, so you do this thing called add event listener, and you're listening for the change event in this particular screen. So pretty weird. All right, but basically, as long as you can copy and paste whatever, you set up your text box to display your words, and you're going to make up whatever words you want, and then you set up your combo box, and you're only going to have 3 of them. And you're basically going to do 2 things. You're going to load a movie and load text. If you're wondering about this, sometimes, not always, but sometimes the previous picture or movie doesn't get rid of itself. So what you can do is force it to disappear. You can unload it. And you won't know if you really need this or not until you try yours. And if it seems to have one on top of the other or it doesn't get rid of it cleanly, do that. Okay? So those are the 2 basic ideas today. How to use more external assets, load movie in particular, and then how to use this new thing called the combo box, which is a lot like what you would find in C#.